Hey, welcome back to the Small Business Mindset. The one idea I want to talk about today is really that startup phase. And before you spend time, money, and energy developing your idea, there's one critical question that I think you need to ask yourself. And that is your idea even viable? I'm going to walk through 5 simple tests that you can use to validate your idea before you go all in and spend the money and do the thing and take the leap, which I'm so excited for you to do. But, it's good to kind of, do a little testing before you get there. So, number one, I want to ask yourself this question. Does this solve a problem that people already have? Hope so. It might solve a problem for you, but can your ideal customer clearly clarify what you're trying to sell? I know sometimes you get wrapped in I know exactly what it means to me and I know why I need to use it, but you're not the one buying it. So could people articulate back to you what you're trying to do? Are they already spending time, money, or energy trying to solve the problem for themselves? Yeah, maybe. I hope so. And do they feel frustration or urgency or inconvenience around it because the problem hasn't yet been solved? I think we all want to be that entrepreneur that finds the magic bullet or the light bulb to solve that big problem for people, and then we'll find a lot of success. And really, that's what we're after. But it doesn't have to be as complicated as that. It can be something as far as doing it more efficiently or doing it better. Number two, will people engage in a real conversation about this? And some questions to ask. So start by talking to, I don't know, 10, 15 people in your target market and define what your target market is. And don't pitch them. Don't say, hey, I have this thing I want you to buy, and here's why. Just start asking questions and listen to their emotion. Don't worry about them being polite and like, well, I don't know. I just want to be nice. I don't want to offend you. That's not what you're looking for. You are truly looking for market research. I'm going to give you an example. A number of years ago, when I launched my book, Golfing in Heels, I had this idea. I wanted to engage more women into the game of golf. And I had this idea thinking, okay, I like, women tend to be more feminine and fashion is a thing and maybe fashion on the golf course. I don't know. I'm like, what is a product I could develop? And I realized I'm really not good at developing products. So I know that about myself. What's a product I could develop that would be a cool thing for a female to buy to be able to wear while she's golfing? And I started looking around at all of the golf accessories, and there's not a lot. I mean, there's hats and shoes and outfits and things like that. You can buy a piece of jewelry with a golf thing on it. And so my mind went to, okay, well, I see ball markers all over the place. And ball markers are like a little round, it could be metal or plastic. So when you are, getting ready to putt and maybe you're with a group and your ball is in the way of somebody else's ball, you mark your ball with a thin little piece of material in a circle. So that way they don't hit your ball and they can have room to go ahead and putt and get it in the hole. So my brilliant idea was I'm like, oh, I'm going to create a ring that has a magnet on it for this ball marker. And anytime they need it, they just pull it off and put it down on the green. In fact, I had one that clipped to my ball cap that I can just pull off. I'm like, I kind of like that. So before I did anything with it, I had no idea how I was actually going to manufacture this thing. I was at a golf tournament and I grabbed the few group of ladies that was actually there golfing that day. And they started to describe it. I said, how often do you use ball markers? I said, oh yeah, I have one in my bag, or I don't know, I have one, I have a clip to the hat like you do. And I'm like, would you wear a ring that had a ball marker on it? And funny enough, this was really great feedback. They all kind of looked down at their hands, and some of us had a wedding ring on. But a lot of them even said, I think there was probably a group of five, 6 women. They said, you know what? I don't like wearing any rings on my hands when I play golf, because I feel like it vibrates too much with the club. And a lot of times I have a glove on. And so no one sees it anyways. And I'm like, I'm so glad I asked, because instead of me saying, hey, would you wear something? And this is really cool. And this is what I'm going to do with it. I hadn't even thought about the usability of something like that and how it would make them feel and would they even wear it. So I think that answered my question for me. So that did save me a lot of time and energy and money. Number 3, will someone actually pay for it? There's my test. And will they just like it? They're like, oh, that's really cool. I remember during COVID when grocery pickup or grocery delivery was a new thing. And now it might be new in some of your cities, it might have been around for a while, but in the city where I live, it was a new thing to order your groceries online and then go pick them up. We have a local grocery store that I ordered from that isn't a chain store. It's just locally owned. And I was able to order them during COVID, and they had, the area of the outside parking lot where you designated stall and number 1, 2, 3, whatever, called the number. And the employee from the store brought out my grocery order and loaded it in the back of my car. And, he wanted to approve the order. He's like, okay, so just out of curiosity, would you pay for something like this? I said, what do you mean? He's like, well, would you pay X per month or so much per service for us to provide this curbside service? And I'm like, oh, this is interesting, because they've thought about it. I mean, the store owner probably definitely thought about it because it's adding an extra staff person to manage that and stuff like that. And I told him, I said, honestly, probably not. I mean, now in COVID, when, we can't really go out and about, and it was very early in COVID where people really didn't want to be in contact with each other. But I thought, is it valuable to me to be able to pull up? Eventually it did get very valuable to me. And a lot of grocery stores, it's in a lot of stores, and a lot of delivery services are out there and you do pay a fee. But at the time I thought, I'm not willing to pay it. I think I was really impressed by this particular grocery store because they had the guts to ask the question, and they probably, tallied up like how many of their customers that came through, okay, who would pay for it, who wouldn't. It was a really great way to get a survey because he asked me directly, would you pay for a solution like this? And I said, for me, I wouldn't pay for a solution like this, but it's something to keep in mind. Or how much would I pay for something like this? A few dollars? Would I pay a monthly subscription fee? What's their tolerance level? Sometimes you're going to ask that question and you might actually get surprised. You might actually realize they're willing to pay a lot more than what you were thinking. I see this a lot with memberships, gym memberships, for example. Over the years of my work in commercial real estate, I've had all kinds of businesses come across my plate and want to utilize me to identify a new, location for their business. And I remember with, health club memberships, there's the gauntlet. There's the $10 a month. There's the hundreds of dollars a month, depending on what services you get. But I think it's interesting without market research, and that's why we're talking about this today. What is the value? What will people pay? And more importantly, what is your target market? Who are you going after? The person that buys a $10 a month gym membership is not the same person that's going to buy a $150 a month gym membership or a personal training package. So keep that in mind too. The other thing when you present pricing, I think it's always a great thing. See what their reaction is. Body language tells a lot. If you throw out a price and their eyes get really big and they're like, okay, well, there's your no right there. But if you throw out a price and they're like, yeah, I think so, maybe you're not asking enough. I mean, you kind of want to find the interesting in the middle. All right, next test. Can you deliver value before providing the perfect version? Ooh, that word perfect is so tough. I think we always want to provide everything perfection. And sometimes we're afraid to launch before it's not, it's perfect. We want to make sure everything is exactly how it's going to be. In reality, and here from, personal experience, you could think you have the most perfect product or service on the planet. And then you realize after you launch it, you're like, oh, it deserves some tweaks. I didn't think about that. And that's okay. And really, I want you to get comfortable being like, okay, it's solving the problem. It's offered at a price where people will pay money for it. And I've just realized after I launch it, I'm like, oh, it's not perfect, which is great. I can improve upon it and either expand upon your service and product offerings or charge more for it. What a cool thing. Just things like, I talked about the grocery store. Is it manual delivery or is it automated? Is automated less expensive for you, or is automated more expensive because you have to subscribe to a certain software program or design something yourself? Is it a service provided thing before the product comes in force? Is it a way you can do maintenance on something before you actually, manufacture the thing? I know way back when, Ford Motor Company started manufacturing their very first cars, they didn't have the maintenance or the auto shops or the repair shops to do any of that. They didn't have the parts to replace it. But they started going because they saw a problem. And the problem was the only mode of fast transportation at the time, and this is, turn of the century, 1900s, was by horseback or horse carriage or locomotive by the train. They wanted to provide a way to replace the horse in a way. And they had to figure out a way to do it that people could afford, or some people could afford, that was maneuverable. You could hold more than one thing or one person, and it was easy to learn, and it didn't require, it required gasoline, but it maybe didn't require food and water and rest. I mean, you could drive it and fill it up and drive it some more. And then over time, so they didn't launch the perfect product because breakdowns are kind of inevitable with any kind of piece of machinery. They developed that later. So that's kind of a gutsy thing to do. And last but not least, would someone come back or recommend it to others? That's the perfect trifecta there. You not only want something that solves a problem, but you want something that people are going to pay for and then find value in. They are okay with, getting started with it because it's really, it's solving a need and it makes their lives a little easier. And more importantly, they get so excited about it that they are loyal users and they can't wait to tell their friends about it. Even better, because the best way to grow your business is by that referral customer base. It's those testimonials. It's not just me telling you how great I think my product or service is. It's all these other people that have tried it and said, oh my gosh, you have to try it. So the repeat use is so important to your business. So as we think about how to make sure your idea is valid before you spend time and your energy, these 5 great tips are really great to ask yourself. So just to go through them really again, does it solve a problem that your customer base actually cares about? Will people engage in a conversation about it? Or they're just like, oh, that's nice. It's something else she's creating again. Will someone actually pay for it? Or are they just going to say, yeah, I like that, but I wouldn't pay for it. That's cool. It's not what you want if you want to grow a business. Can you deliver value before developing the perfect version? And don't let perfection get in the way of something pretty darn good. And last but not least, will someone come back and refer others? Because that's ultimately what you want. You want to build a sales pipeline of satisfied customers and consistently improving offerings. So I hope today you took something away as you're getting ready to launch your business. What a great time of the year to do it. But more importantly, let us know what you think. I want to hear about your business ideas, your trials and tribulations, things that you've thrown out there and still kind of, molding within your brain and within your life. I think the small business development side of what we do is very inspiring and creative. And I'm so glad to connect with you. So please don't forget, please subscribe to the podcast and watch it online on YouTube. And I'd love to hear from you.